My kids didn't go to elite school. No tutor. What I mean by this, no extra lesson teacher, no pressure. Yet, they are the top in their classes. Let me share the 7 parenting habits that made the big difference. One of the smartest things that I ever did as a parent was to start reading for my kids even before they start talking. I wasn't actually trying to teach them how to read because I know they are not of age. But I was only trying to create a routine where books were part of life and comforting. We made this a habit every night, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes, we do it. And gradually it became part of them. As it became part of them, sometimes they even point at pictures when you are reading, you don't mind because I don't as well mind. They mimic your sound, try to imitate you, and that was when the magic began. And it may interest you to know that this helped to build their vocabulary long before they even enrolled into school. Isn't that amazing? And more than anything, it made them love learning because it's part of them already, even before they enrolled into school. You know those endless why question kids ask? Something like, why is the sky blue? Why do dogs bark? Why do this? Why do that? Actually, I feel completely exhausted about the why questions because there are so many why. But then, what do? Because I've made this decision on my own earlier before them, that I would never shout at their curiosity. Instead of telling them I don't know, I did rather tell them, let's find out together. And that simple phrase turned every moment into a chance for exploration. And by so doing, we think critical and begin to resolve a problem. Isn't that amazing? As we continue to explore, they keep asking constant questions. But do you know what? Those constant questions they ask send signal to me that their brains are beginning to grow. They are developing. So what I do is to encourage them because I know I am building a future critical thinkers. So do not give them no for an answer. Encourage them. Get solutions together, explore together, make your research together. You see they begin to think smarter than you think. We all know we live in digital world and completely avoiding the screen is something that is not realistic. You understand what I mean? So, but then I learned something that how we use the screen way much more than how much we use the screen. From the early starts, I set a limit. We were intentional about that. So no endless YouTube loops or random cartoon. Everything has its own time. Instead, I chose educational shows, documentaries, and learning app that actually taught something. And after the screen time, guess what we do? We talked about what they watched. They made it active, but not passive. But believe me, it turned the screen into a learning tool and not a babysitter. Please, if you've gotten to this point, don't get exhausted. Just watch till the end because you'll be helping your kid. You will produce amazing kids. Your children will have to be smart enough. When you adopt these 7 parenting tips I used, it worked. They worked. And I'm sure it's going to work for you. Just try it. If you can't try the 7, pick out of it and do well with those ones. You know, one of the best things we ever did was making learning part of the home and not just what they do in school. Had a small shelf of book within their reach, a world map on the wall, puzzle on the table, magnet with letters on the fridge. With all this, it doesn't make the environment look like a classroom. That is why we are intentional about all these positions so that they don't feel they're in the class. You know what this setting actually looked to them? a home that inspires question and exploration. And one thing again I always do, I encourage them to follow their interest, whether it was dinosaur, space, cooking, books, whatever they show curiosity in, we learn them together. One of the biggest lessons I remembered I taught my children is that success isn't about being the best, but about trying your best. You know what? I praise their effort more than their grade, because when I see them practice a tougher puzzle or trying to resolve a difficult calculation, I always tell them I'm proud of how hard you've worked. And one thing I don't forget telling them is failure is part of learning. It is a process, it aids your learning process, provided you struggle and never give up. Failure is part of the learning process. You know what? That mindset alone has helped them to grow into confidence and independent thinker. So they now believe in themselves that failure is part of the learning process. They don't have to give up at a point. They keep have to struggling until they achieve what they want to achieve. And one of the most simplest and most powerful thing I ever did as a parent, I made sure we talk each day. When I mean talk, I don't mean phone. Phone, no distraction, real conversation one-on-one. As a mother and a child, as a mother and their children, real conversation. This is a powerful tool. You know what? It wasn't always a deep talk. Most times we could talk about what they ate in school or the funny thing they saw. But one thing I know is that regular talk time helped them to build their confidence, it built their vocabulary, and it also taught them how to express themselves clearly. On my own part, that act gave me a window on how they think, their questions, their fears, and even their dreams. And that connection, you see, helped them to grow emotionally and intellectually. Finally, there is something I learned so fast. Kids don't actually listen to what you say, they copy what you do. So because of this, I made sure they saw me being curious. Ask question out loud so that they could hear me, because I know they practice what they say. Book right in front of them for them to see that I am ready. I also say things like, I don't know, let me look it up. One thing I don't do, when I make a mistake, I always admit it. When I'm learning something new, I will share with excitement to them. That alone made them to understand that learning never ends. No matter how old you are, you keep learning. So when they see me, they say, wow, so she's still learning. That means learning is a continuous process. This alone encouraged them. And it also made them believe that they should be open to discover new things, new ideas, anytime they come across one. So those are the 7 parenting tips that help my kids grow into curious, thoughtful, and confident learners. You don't need a perfect home or a perfect plan. All you need is consistency and love. If you are inspired by these tips, please do wait to leave your comment in the comment section. Do not forget to share